0%. For a heart that goes into an arrhythmia twice a month and terrifies him every time. Not because the VA doubted him. Because of 4 words at the top of the code, and there's a second route through this rating that most people never even find.
Erica here, and those 4 words are confirmed by ECG. Every rung of diagnostic code 7010 opens with them. Not most rungs, every one.
Michael joining you, Bella, so the schedule isn't asking how bad it's asking whether a machine was recording at the moment it happened.
That's exactly it, and it's a harsher test than it sounds because atrial fibrillation is intermittent by nature. It comes, it goes, and it very often isn't doing it during the 12 seconds you're wired up in a clinic.
Michael, a normal ECG a year exam doesn't mean you don't have a fib. It means the machine wasn't looking when it happened.
Bella, and a rater can't act on that distinction. They can only rate what's in the file.
Which is the whole problem, and also the whole fix. This is one of the few claims where the answer isn't a better argument or a stronger statement. It's a piece of equipment worn for 2 weeks. So before we go any further, ask yourself this. Has your AFib ever actually been caught on a strip? Because if the answer is no, everything else we say today is downstream of fixing that one thing. And there's a route into this rating that needs no episode at all, which I'll get to. Quick honest ask while we are here. If this has been worth your time so far, hit like, then subscribe and ring the bell. I know everyone asks, but this one is free and it is how a small channel like this actually grows. Let's read the 2 rungs because the difference between them is arithmetic rather than argument.
Professor Duran came in for this, and I asked her specifically because the word intervention is doing more work here than anywhere else in the cardiac schedule.
And the code defines it rather than leaving it open. 10% is assigned for supraventricular arrhythmia confirmed by electrocardiogram with 1 to 4 treatment interventions per year. 30% is the same confirmation with 5 or more treatment interventions per year, and the code names what counts as an intervention: intravenous pharmacologic adjustment, cardioversion, and ablation.
Bella, what about a bad night at home where you wrote it out and it converted on its own?
Not an intervention as the code uses the word. Frightening, entirely real, and not a countable event. That's a hard sentence to say to a veteran, and it's what the schedule says.
Read me the money on that gap. Because that's the question, isn't it? Is one more bad episode really worth $300 a month?
$372.05 a month between 4 interventions and 5. 1 event either side of a line.
Erica, and it stops there. 30% is the top of 7010. There's no 50, no 60.
Thank you, Duran. The fact that writing it out at home counts for nothing is the thing I would have got wrong.
So let's solve the evidence problem because it's genuinely solvable and most people don't know how.
A standard clinic electrocardiogram records about 12 seconds. If your AFib runs for 2 hours once a fortnight, the odds that those 2 events overlap are close to nothing.
Erica, so what actually catches it?
Ambulatory monitoring, a Holter monitor worn for a day or 2, or an event recorder worn for weeks that you trigger when you feel it start. Ask your doctor for one by name. That's the single highest value sentence in this episode.
And then bring the strip. Do not assume the cardiology record walked itself over to the claims file, because those are different systems and they don't always talk.
One captured episode does it. Once it's confirmed by ECG in the record, that box is ticked and it stays ticked.
Bella, one honest caution on the modern version of this. A smartwatch telling you it detected an irregular rhythm is a very good reason to go get tested. It's not itself the confirmation the code is asking for.
Treat the watch as the prompt and the monitor as the evidence. The watch is why you walk into the office. The monitor is what walks into the claims file. Now the route I promised, and it's sitting in plain sight inside the 10% criterion.
Duran's back with us because I want her to read the second half of that rung out loud.
10% is available for supraventricular arrhythmia confirmed by electrocardiogram with 1 to 4 treatment interventions per year, or confirmed by electrocardiogram with either continuous use of oral medications to control or use of vagal maneuvers to control.
Erica, stop. Continuous oral medication on its own.
On its own, given the electrocardiogram confirmation, there's no intervention count attached to that clause. A veteran taking a daily rate control or rhythm control medication with the arrhythmia documented meets the 10% criterion by that route alone.
And that's an enormous number of people who assume they have nothing to claim because nobody has cardioverted them and they have never had an ablation.
$180.42 a month for a single veteran under the rates that took effect this past December for a pill they were already taking.
Duran and vagal maneuvers. Is that as odd as it sounds?
Michael, it's bearing down or a similar technique taught by a clinician to break an episode. It's in the code because for some patients, it's the entire management plan.
Thanks, Duran. That second clause is the part I would want every viewer to rewind.
There's a code next door with a very different number on it, and the contrast explains what the schedule is actually measuring.
7011, sustained ventricular arrhythmias, and it pays 100% for an indefinite period.
From what trigger?
3 of them. From the date of inpatient hospital admission for initial medical therapy for a sustained ventricular arrhythmia, or from admission for a ventricular aneurysmectomy, or with an automatic implantable cardioverter defibrillator in place.
$3,938.58 a month at 100% against $552.47 at the top of AFib, same organ.
Bella, that gap isn't about how much it frightens you.
It's about which chamber and how lethal, and that distinction is the whole logic of the cardiac schedule once you see it. Ventricular arrhythmias kill people. That's why a defibrillator gets implanted. Atrial fibrillation is serious, treatable, and rarely sudden. The schedule is grading danger, not distress.
And the 100% isn't permanent by default. There's a mandatory VA examination 6 months after discharge, and then residuals get rated under the general rating formula.
Let's turn it into the order you would actually do it, because this one is unusually mechanical.
First, get it on a strip. Ask for ambulatory monitoring by name, a Holter, or an event recorder. Nothing else in this episode works until that exists.
Second, count. Go through the year's records and count treatment interventions, every intravenous adjustment, every cardioversion, any ablation. 4 and 5 pay differently.
Bella. And third is the one people skip.
If you take a daily medication to control it, say so plainly in those words. That clause is its own route to 10%, and it doesn't depend on your intervention count at all.
And carry the cardiology records to the exam yourself rather than trusting they arrived.
Now the honest part, because I've described a claim bigger than a lot of people will get. 30% is the ceiling here, and it takes 5 or more interventions in a year to reach it. That's a genuinely rough year. And most veterans with well-controlled AFib will land at 10%, and that's the correct answer, not a robbery. If your rhythm is controlled on a daily tablet and you haven't been in a hospital for it, 10% is what the schedule describes, and it's worth having. Here's what I would actually do. If your AFib has never been captured on a strip, don't file yet. Get the monitor first, then file. That's the smart play, because filing without the ECG spends your effort on a claim the code can't say yes to.
And that ordering is the part I would tell a friend. Evidence first, paperwork second.
Here's the sentence to keep. This code can't rate a rhythm nobody recorded, so go get it recorded. Subscribing is free and costs you 1 tap, and it puts the next one of these in front of a veteran who is about to file without a strip. And if you know somebody who takes a daily heart pill and assumes there's nothing to claim, send them this minus that clause alone is $180 a month. I'll go first. I would have argued about how bad it feels and never mentioned the medication. So tell me. Has your AFib ever actually been caught on a strip? Get the monitor, then get the letter. Bella signing off. Look after that heart.